All
Do you
right.
want to start or am I going to start?
I think you should start. I think you're far more
I feel
eloquent
like
than
I'm
I am.
always starting, and then when I say it, you just kind of chime in. So I guess that's the way we're going to do it.
I mean, I could.
Welcome to the Toronto Real Estate Show. Thank you very much for joining us. We'd like you to like, comment, and subscribe. This is what we need to boost our numbers on the YouTube algorithm. Please hit the bell, and thanks for watching.
Thanks. Brilliant. Well, I think we learned from last week's episode that people tune in for real estate, not
Chicken sandwich
technology,
stories. Sorry,
NFTs, and chicken sandwich stories.
you
So,
keep recording stuff for too early.
well,
Um,
last
Sorry
week
about last week.
we just got it. Yeah. Oh, that was actually 2 weeks ago. No,
No,
I'm
last
sorry
Sunday.
about last Sunday. That was my fault.
Yeah, no show. We let the listeners down.
I feel like they don't even know.
Oh
I
no,
f-
they know. They were stopping me in the streets.
where people were I saw some flags in the distance that I
Yeah,
thought said like what happened Toronto
there's
real estate
protests.
show?
Queens Park.
Bring them back. They must have
Yep.
been, that new bill on of that everybody's talking about.
Yeah. It was
C10 or
Bill
whatever.
187.
187
Yeah.
C1032 hut.
Yeah.
They
So
they took
that's all
us
good.
down. No, but they
We're back.
didn't. We're
We're gonna
here.
find we're gonna find alternatives on long weekends. We're gonna make it work. We've got a remote show scheduled
Oh,
July long weekend, right?
I think we
Daryl and I
do.
will both be in remote locations far
Remote,
away
far
from the
away.
Toronto real estate market. I think it would be a max like 2 or 3 hours just because we don't really want to leave the province, but but far, like far away.
Far away.
We'll have
Like,
Wi-Fi.
I think I have real estate fatigue.
Oh, tell me about it.
I feel tired.
What is so fatiguing about you researching real estate from the comfort of your office?
Nothing. I'm so bored and it's so monotonous. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's enough. And it's like all day I read these articles that are just like, I feel like I'm in the middle of a ping pong match or a tennis match
Yeah.
because it's like, we're going to crash. Everything is horrible. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stop this. It's too hot. It's too hot.
Yeah.
And it's back and forth and it's confusing and I don't know what's going on anymore. I mean, I feel like the
YouTube is
market's rip roaring away.
YouTube is killing me right now. Like
Ugh.
my homepage on YouTube is just like prepare for the end of the world.
I,
Like
I'm a-
everything.
and I'm
I'm
telling
I'm
you,
trying to not watch those videos because every once in a while I click on them and then they just keep coming up in my feed and I'm like, "Oh no, I gotta." And it's so American based, a lot of them, and they just have these theories about why this is going to be the worst recession and housing crisis that has ever hit America. And I'm like, "No.
no, why,
Why do I press
why?
click?"
But hold on a sec. And I
Yeah.
know why. And it
Why?
bothers me because I feel compelled to do the same thing and to make these titles for our episodes and these thumbnails that um make you feel scared and negative, right? Because I've seen that when I put everything's rosy and wonderful, nobody watches. I mean, less nobody, the normal, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, like there's a picture of a town on fire and it's like,
But that's just our thumbnails, though. I'm talking about the actual videos. So they'll get some guy who's some 60 to 75-year-old man who's been in the financial services industry for 40 years, who's talking about how he witnessed the 2008 Great Recession and how he remembers what inflation was like in the 70s and how the next crash is going to be way worse than ever. And they go on and on and on. And they actually talk about it. And he seems so adamant about it, right? And it's like it's compelling, right? It's captivating. You're like, what does he know and nobody else is telling us? Because in our minds we feel like there's some conspiracy or there's like a hidden agenda or there's like people who are in the know and that we're just commoners, so we don't really know and understand and we're just gonna have to follow the trends.
I think
And it's crazy. And I'm getting people coming to me, Daryl, who are ready to sell their properties, sell their real estate, sell their principal residence, and go into rentals and bet on the housing market crashing. I'm getting that. Like that's the storyline that I'm getting from different people.
It's very weird. Like, and I think we're all just grabbing on to anything to see if we can get an indication of something, right? So it's like
Hmm.
we'll watch these videos to see if we get some kind of a hint as to what actually might happen next. Because let's talk, for example, in the rental market right now, we have inventory up, like uh, there's more units available, but prices are going up again, right?
Yeah.
Which is like crazy, unheard of. I mean, it bends all laws of supply and demand, right? And pricing.
Well, just demand has spiked. I haven't really been following the rental market the last 2 weeks. I haven't been engaged in it as much as I normally try to be, just to keep up with it so I can talk about it. But
Well, and
that's
that's an interesting point because it's also so we're all getting fed stuff that we're kind of already looking at, right? So where I spend time looking at rental, for me, I felt like rental market was like the big story in the last little while, and you didn't even notice it,
well,
right?
I know that one because I'm hearing it from colleagues of mine that if you're trying to get a freehold rental, it's very competitive.
Yeah. Oh my
I know
God.
that people who are trying to rent out basement apartments all across the city are struggling right now, and nobody wants basement apartments.
But the vacancy rate's the highest it's been in like a generation.
Yeah.
So how does that make any sense? I mean, listen, I look at a 4% vacancy rate and think, wow, I got pretty good odds of renting my unit, right? Like, if I'm empty 4% of the time, it's not
Yeah.
the end of the world. Or if I'm one of those 4% that's empty, it doesn't seem like it would last too long, right?
Hmm.
But that's the highest rate ever, and prices are going up. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So hold on. So that does that mean what we think about the traditional like purchase market is also going to invert?
No, there's so many factors. Like I said, there's so many different rental markets in Toronto.
I
You got the
think in the
freehold
rental
housing
market, yeah, but
outside of the city.
yeah, yeah.
Then you got the high-rise condos in the denser parts of town. Then you've got all the basement apartments. Then you've got all the apartment buildings. People don't need to go to apartment buildings. I was talking to a property manager within the last few weeks, and she said that everybody's been giving their notice lately. She said they're having no issues with renting anymore. This is one of the biggest property managers in Toronto, and she said they're not having issues with renting anymore, and they don't have to give any incentives anymore. But she said it's crazy how the turnover is. Everybody's moving out. She says every day they're getting multiple people coming and giving them their 60 days notice. Like it's a crazy turnaround right now. So those vacancy rates, because there'll be transitional rents and stuff like that, that's affecting vacancy rates too. Right. So there's a lot of things here. It's not like
Mm,
there's just a bunch of empty units that no one can rent. The rental market still is strong and it's only been getting
super
stronger.
tight. And
Yeah.
I think people must see what's about to come down the pipe. I mean, the reality is that the pandemic numbers are down. We're looking at opening up the city and the world again. The states looks like everything's back to normal over there. Like, immigration's going to start being a factor again soon, right? Next year's school year, people are going to start coming in. Like, didn't we talk before about people, students are starting to come back looking at rentals? Like, there's going to be
Yeah.
nothing. There's going to be, if out of that 3.4 or 4%, you're saying it's like people migrating and like in between, and I get what you're saying. So that means it's not really 4%. It's even tighter than that. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the floodgates are about to open because we're going to see unprecedented immigration in the next few years. So are people going, okay, like I waited long enough, I better get back in this thing because it looks like it's going to go bananas. The market's just fucking insane.
There's people who are going to be renting right who are owning right now who are going to be renting in the next year, and
Well, and
that's a
there's probably
financial reasons, cashing out on the market, plans for retirement, taking money out to help their kids. There's a lot of different reasons that people are going to go from ownership into rentals. Baby boomers, a lot of them, it makes sense.
Well, and a lot of people are just like, okay, I give up. Fuck it. Let's go rent something. Like I can't keep living
Uh,
here. I can't keep living in the
yeah. So
parents' basement. This is enough.
sure, that too. But what I'm saying is people who actually own, they're the owners, they're on
Oh
title,
yeah, yeah, I get it.
and they're saying, you know what? Look at where the market is. Like I remember when this happened in 1989, 90.
Mm,
I'm not going to take any chances. I need this money for my retirement. And if I take it out, I've got it. It's in my hand and I don't need to worry about where it's going to go. And if I rent, my expenses are going to be fixed. Right now I'm paying because they're in, larger homes and stuff like that. They're paying, let's say they have no mortgage, they're still paying $10,000 a year in expenses, right? Maybe more depending on which municipality. And then they say, okay, well, if I can go and get a place that I'm going to spend $25,000 a year on rent, that's it. Those are my expenses. And I know that that extra $15,000 will be easily paid for over the next 20 years from my pension or the money that I'm going to have from investments or the money from my proceeds from the sale of my home. And I can manage that. And that makes them feel comfortable. Right. So there
sure.
will be a lot of people going into rentals. That's just evolution of the buying cycle.
Well, and I think it was forced forward for a bunch of people because all of a sudden in the last 5 years, their house literally doubled, right?
And
It's
they're
like,
afraid.
we
Yep.
better get out of this thing.
They're
Like,
afraid. They're like, holy smokes, I can't believe it. This is a
it's
great
like door
segue
number
to
one or door number two, right? You have 10
yeah.
grand in your hands. Do you want to risk it for maybe another what, right?
Well, okay, so let's go to that one first. So when I'm talking to people in this case, because it's like it's hard to determine what's going to happen, right? But everybody who I get to meet, and they all have different stories. When they say to me, "Well, I need to sell because I'm retiring. I've already got a place up north. I've already got a condo. I'm gonna move in with a partner, spouse, whatever. I need to sell. When's a good time?" Well, yeah, maybe the market does continue to rise, but how much more is it going to rise? So what? You might get another what, 3, 5, 8% more money for your home. Like that's possible, right? Like, are you really expecting it to go up another 20%? Okay. But if the market does change between now and the time that you sell, and you have to sell for 10% less, how is that going to affect your retirement plan? Right? So sure, you can stay in and you can have more money. It's possible, but the odds of it going up are not as great as the odds going down because of just how much appreciation we've had. And I'm talking about short term here. The other part is the risk. How much if you lost 100 grand from your retirement plan, is that going to make your retirement plans change? Are you now not going to be able to do the things that you want to do compared to if you had an extra $50,000 for retirement? Is that really going to impact the lifestyle that you're going to live, after you're done? So you have to weigh out all these things, right? So sometimes it's just always about looking at the risk. I'm not foolish enough to go around telling everybody just to hang on to their property as long as possible and sell because no matter what, it's gonna be okay, because that could end up impacting people's retirement plans and they're coming to me for advice.
Yeah.
Just like I wouldn't tell somebody to buy a house and expect to sell it in 6 months for more money because the market's going up and they're gonna kill it. Like no, like you might have to hang on to this thing for 5 years before you're gonna get that profit or money back or whatever. So you got to be really careful.
So, but other than the market just being really super hot right now, for obvious reasons, I think. I mean, they $4 billion a week of new money coming into the system. Like we know why everything's appreciating. So, um, like why wouldn't prices be going crazy right now? Like what are we expecting? Why is there a crash? Like why? Where's the evidence of a crash other than just it's really crazy right now? And on top of it, okay, like a crash would be 30%, right? 20%. What's a crash even considered? But like we gained 30% this year. So what's
Yeah.
the crash going to do? Wipe out people that bought this year? There's not that many of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No, it's
it'll
it's
hurt.
hard. It's hard to put the storyline together, and that's why, like I said, this damn YouTube feed, man, it just
Doesn't
keeps on
make any
giving me
sense.
all these different opinions. But to me, a crash is next to impossible to have something like a 20 to 30%. Like interest rates would have to spike up so high that the people who haven't had a 5-year fix locked in the last 2 years all of a sudden lose their jobs. Like it just, how is it even mathematically? How is it possible that all of a sudden people can't afford their homes in 5 years? Different story. If we see interest rates start to rise, then everybody's who's getting mortgages today at record, amounts. and then they have to qualify for a new rate in 5 years, then yeah, they may not be able to, and they'll all be forced to sell. But the economy doesn't seem like it's falling apart. It seems like it's doing better than what everyone predicted. It's just there's definitely a softening from the peak of the beginning of 2021, like 100%, Darryl. I'm seeing
For sure.
examples now of houses that are selling for less money today than they were in March, like
We
five,
have new homes.
six,
New homes
7%.
$48,000 new homes went down like month over month because of a
Yeah,
bunch of supply, which, well, I mean, we can talk about that now, but I think we should. I think we should go into the mortgage stress test rules because we're
let's go to
talking
that
about
after. We'll come back to
affordability
that
and
after.
interest rates. You want to come back to that after?
Come back to that after. Let's just talk about this. Stay on topic. Is actually what we're seeing. So I want you to talk about the new homes one after, but just to give you an example, um, in certain pockets of Scarborough, in certain pockets of Durham region, in certain pockets of Markham, I've seen actual price decreases where people were selling for more money in March, 50, 60, 70, $80,000, stuff like that. And now those prices have not been obtained. So there's a bunch of people sitting on the market trying to get those prices still, but they're not going. And then somebody who's actually realistic and who says, okay, the market's changed. I have to be able to accept whatever the market will bear, is actually taking less money. And that's, I've now
Less
seen those
money than what?
examples.
Less money than
Than
what they
what
were
the neighbor of an
asking?
identical home or sometimes an inferior home sold for in March.
Because there's more options.
I guess so. I mean, there's less offers, there's less pressure, there's less fear of missing out.
But
There's
how
there's
can
all the
there
things
be
that
if tomorrow or in 2 days these new mortgage rules come into effect and you got to qualify? How come that didn't like spur a ton of buying?
this week it did. I had 93 showings on a property and sold 213,000 over asking
So
for
what's the rule? You
a
have to,
place that needs a lot of work
but you have to
in Scarborough.
close before June 1st, or like if you bought something prior to June 1st, the rules apply.
So I've heard a couple different opinions, and it seems like it's going to be lender dependent. So what the like OSFI announced, what the government announced was pre-approval, right? Just get your pre-approval done before June 1st, and then you'll be able to still be grandfathered. But several lenders have said no, your pre-approval doesn't mean anything. I want it to be an approval, which means you have to have your agreement of purchase and sale before June 1st.
Hmm.
So honestly, I haven't got a clear answer on that yet. I've heard from different mortgage brokers different things. And everyone's saying don't expect to get. I think that's what they're doing. They're saying don't expect to get
Right.
the old stress test qualifying rate if you sign your agreement after June 1st, because
Yeah.
the bank may not honor it. And you
Why the
have
hell
to,
would they?
well, I guess if they can get away with it, the bank is going to do it. Or I mean, you find a lender who will, but you have to have a pre-approval with them. Like it's one of those things that another example of government intervention
So
at its finest.
is it because it happened so quickly that we didn't see like a huge run up for a while? Like I would have thought that the last few weeks you'd see.
They never announced it, Darryl. People aren't watching our show.
Right.
They're waiting to get all the real estate news from Global on CP24. They announced it literally on May 24th.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody
Yeah.
had a week to go. Oh shit, we better buy, or
This week
we just
I got
lost the
93
point.
showings again on a listing that I wasn't expecting to get that many showings,
Right.
right? So things started to really pick up again. All of a sudden, it's like, oh wow, this is reminiscent of the early 2021 market.
So okay. So hold on. So I pushed on to the stress test again. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We're going down that road now.
Well, I mean, it doesn't
Well,
seem
let's
like.
talk about it. What it is.
Yeah, you talk about it because I don't really know
Yeah.
what it is. What are we? We're
So the
qualifying for
stress
half a
test,
point
this
higher now.
technically the stress test only impacts people who are the new stress test changes. It only affects people who are um, conventional mortgages, right? So they got 20% down or more. But then they had the government implement the same rules for people who are insured mortgages. So it affects everybody. It's just two different governments deciding on who does what. It doesn't really make sense to me why they have to do that, but I guess with CMHC involved in insured mortgages or government policy, like the federal government having to be involved in insured mortgages, it had to come down from them. But anyways, so there was a 4.79 qualifying rate. Now it's 5.25. So that extra 45 basis points is between 4 and 5% of a buyer's buying power. Okay. So you've lost that much buying power after June 1st. So pretty significant change for a small percentage of the population.
Yeah, I mean, that it's going to make a big difference. It's hard enough to find a decent house in the price point you can afford, and now it just got further out of reach. So now you have to drive.
It's just honestly, it's a small percentage. It's just a qualifying rate. Okay. So people aren't paying more.
Yeah, but I don't know if you remember when you first bought your first house. Like, it's not the same as the second or the third. Like, when you take that first mortgage, it's scary. $50 a month, whatever, $100 a month. Like, it makes a difference at that first buyer's perspective in the market. I remember when I got my first mortgage, I was like, oh my god, it was like 150 grand or something, or like 180 grand, and I was like shitting bricks, man. I was so afraid to take that mortgage on.
Mm-hmm.
3.85%. It was like nothing.
Yeah.
So, but now all of a sudden you just lost 5%. So let's just say, for argument's sake, like you were looking at a house between 900 and 1.1 million, which is like average, right? 800 to a million, whatever. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
else is looking for the exact same thing right now. And now all of a sudden, if you were looking at 800, you got to look at 750, right?
760. Yeah.
760.
Yep.
But that's a different
That's your mortgage amount. Yeah.
bracket now, right? That's a different like house, because you could barely find anything for 8 something that you weren't
Well,
getting
according
outbid
to
on
what
all the
I'm
time.
seeing, is those $800,000 mortgages only need to be 760 now because the market softened a slight bit. It's still a crazy seller's market.
That's
It's still
momentary. That's very
it's
momentary.
still it's still a crazy seller's market. But what I'm forecasting is that we're going to have a lot more inventory come on the market once the lockdown lifts,
A lot more
right?
inventory, but you don't think that
Yeah.
that inventory will be offset by more demand?
Not as much. I think all the
Look at the new
buyers that are out there,
condos.
I think all the buyers that are out there right now are out there. I don't think there's one buyer sitting at home going, "Oh, I wish I could buy real estate, but Doug Ford says don't go outside, so I'm not going to do it." I don't think there's one buyer out there who's doing that. But there's sellers who are saying, "Look, we want to sell our home, but this lockdown, it's scary. I don't know. I don't want my neighbors to think that I'm breaking the rules. It doesn't make sense. We'll sell once the government opens things back up again." I think there's more sellers than buyers waiting because of the lockdown. Also, I had a guy I was dealing with for 2.5 years go power a sale this week,
Whoa.
right? So he had called me in. I knew he was in trouble. I kept referring him to lenders and trying to help him. And we had listed the property twice, but he always pulled the plug before we went on the market. So we'd sign the paperwork and then whatever. And he called me up. He says, "Look, I appreciate everything, but I just want to let you know that, this was not my decision to sell, and that, I knew what was going on." So he said, "That's why we're not using you." And I said, "Yeah, it's, I hope it works out for you, and you get it sold and move on." But he was deep underwater, right? Like that just happened this week. I got people who I'm talking to who are, financially strapped, who don't want to be paying a mortgage anymore, who don't want to have any more um, overhead, and they're looking at, their lifestyle and everything else like that because they're getting older and they're trying to figure out a way out of this. And they remember 1989 and they want to get out and they want to take their money and they want to find a place to put it,
But
right? That they trust.
don't you think there's a lot of people in other countries that are just waiting for borders to open to get the hell out of wherever they have been, and could have made a lot of money in the last few years, and just been waiting to get out? And like when the floodgates open, they're going to be buying up anything that they can find because they want to live here?
I think they're less than what we think. I think that there's less people than have actually um, there's less people that we actually think are coming in. So here's the Canada government website. The target, right, is 401,000, right,
For what year? 2021?
for 2021, but the low range is only 300,000. And next year the low range is targets 411, but the low range is 320.
Yeah. That,
Yeah.
that's so many people.
So but we were getting those numbers before, and it's not like we haven't been able to sustain it, right? We've had the 350,000 people come here,
Yep.
and it wasn't creating a massive housing shortage.
No, but how
And there's
many?
also a ton of people leaving the GTA too now, more than ever.
I don't know if it's more than ever. I just think they're not being replaced by new people coming in at the moment. How many people came in last year? Actually came in. How
Total number in
short were we?
2020?
Yeah, how short were we on projection? And how different is it than what they're projecting? Because I got to think it's going to feel a hell of a lot different.
184,000.
184,000. So
Yeah,
somewhere
lowest level since
between,
1998.
so like 60 something percent of anticipated.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan was. It was north of 300,000, obviously.
Okay, so this is what it looks like when immigration is at like 60% capacity. So what the hell does this market feel like when we're at 100% immigration capacity? Seriously. It's going to be fucking bananas. Those people, they haven't purchased already. They haven't rented already. They have to live somewhere. And I'm pretty sure last time I checked, at least half of the news outlets were in a crisis.
Yeah,
Look,
I
we
just don't
prove
think
it right here with the new homes going. Okay, so they're saying that new home sales on average went down $48,000 because of new supply that came on. First of all, is that fucking true? Because that doesn't sound so right to me at all.
there was just some booming house prices that were sold, what they're comparing to, right? They were selling all the luxury
Yeah,
properties
like
came out
everything in
in
Oakville came out.
February and
Yeah,
March.
yeah.
Yeah, they were like, all right, guys, we got these $3 million houses here. Just put them up for sale. I don't even care if you can build them.
Yeah.
Just put them up. Let's go, because people are buying them. They were selling out all those sites.
But I mean, the purpose of the article, I think, was to show that look, more supply does affect the market. Which is there anybody out there that doesn't think adding more supply is going to fix the problem? Are you one of those people? TK.
No, I think supply is a major issue. I just don't think it's the only issue.
No, but I think it's fairly easily fixable. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
people that want to create more
I
supply.
think interest rates are too low.
Interest rates are definitely too low, but it seems to me that they are still not planning on doing anything about that.
No.
No, they're going to fuck around with the OSFI baloney, which will make a little difference. Look, they're cool. The market's cooled, whether it had something to do with them or not them or who.
It was just a stupid market. That stuff doesn't really, get everybody excited. I have had the amount of people that I know who have talked to me about selling and buying, gone out and looked at houses, realized that it's just insane out there and quit is more than I've ever had before. Like they just can't deal with it. It's emotionally taxing. They're just like, man, this is not, you have to be really motivated to be able to move in this market because it's competitive and it's difficult and you don't get anything close to what you're hoping to get.
That's why I think a lot of the buyers have dried up for a little bit too, because I think whole fuck. If I'm tired of real estate, like imagine these poor people that don't give a fuck about real estate.
And you're like the Energizer Bunny.
Well, I don't know if I'm like the Energizer Bunny, but I'm really fucking into real estate, right? And I'm like sick of this shit. This morning I was like, what the fuck are we gonna talk about now? Like, what haven't we talked about to
Chicken
death
sandwiches
already? But yeah, you threw me a curveball.
Yeah.
Popeyes,
right?
Popeyes, and look, now I feel better. Just thinking about Popeyes chicken just pulled me right out.
I think it's talking to me. I think that's what you like. You missed me.
I think I need to talk.
We tried to have a quick conversation, but we're like, nah, let's save it. Let's not try to talk to each other during the week unless it's super business oriented. Otherwise,
necessity.
We got to save the.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I just miss you. Maybe I'm gonna have to start calling you.
It's okay. It's common. I've seen this before.
So we got crazy condo sales going on. Like new condo sales are set a 20-year record for new condo sales in the GTA.
Tell me.
I don't know. It's crazy. 3,600 units sold condos. Highest April on record. It's just bananas. I guess there was a lot of launches.
Can I ask you a development question?
Yeah.
I had a client call me about a site that you and I both know very well. We'll just say that it's the Lurch condos.
Lurch, yes.
They said they were going to go buy, but they're like, they don't have their zoning. They're telling people that they're going to be done by a certain time.
They don't have their zoning?
Yeah. He's like, how are they selling these units without their zoning? And they've got a demolition permit only, but no.
Oh, So they probably have their zoning. They don't have their site plan approval, which is fine. That's what most people do. Although
I know that, but zoning, how common would it be to see someone not have their zoning yet?
by this point in time, like I know that site pretty well, and I know that
Yeah,
developer really well. Like
yeah,
personally,
yeah,
I like these guys are pretty pro. I would be pretty shocked if they were doing anything weird, and
yeah,
especially to do it early in this kind of a market.
yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense as prices are escalating with costs and like it makes no sense to go earlier
To
than
have delay, yeah, yeah, to
yeah,
have
and
delays that are
especially
gonna.
if you don't know what you're going to get. Seems pretty foolish. They didn't apply for anything crazy on that site. Like I haven't heard of
Yeah,
any issues. I think that's a load of malarkey.
it possibly is. The source is highly, um, you know,
Questionable.
not questionable, but emotionally charged, right? Because he's trying to buy a unit, so of course he's got emotion
It
in his heart.
seems to me that that would be a pretty good purchase actually, because it's fairly decent sized units. It's on a ravine. It's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah,
Although there's
I
no
think that.
transit anywhere near there.
Yeah, I think the sign is like everything's being sold to condo developers in that area. So it's
No.
like everything is only like prices are only, not to say that the market's in charge, obviously, but when it comes to an area that is being developed and everyone's going to have the same building costs and land costs and all that kind of stuff, they have no choice but to sell it for more money. And they're going to do whatever they need to do to get a higher price per square foot. So if you're buying it today, over the next 5 years, that price per square foot has to go up. Like the developers just have no choice but to ask more money for it.
I was speaking to a developer, yes, 2 days ago, and he said to me, like, you can't make any money unless you sell for $1,000 a square foot right now,
Hmm.
right?
Well, location.
Of course, location, but still, I mean, people are having a tough time in Kitchener making money because the cost of construction is so high.
Okay, I get it. Okay, so
Peterborough,
not
right?
location.
So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, location, like if it's downtown, you can't be at $1,000, obviously, because you'd lose your
Yeah.
shirt. But like for low end land, right? Or like, I mean, on a big project, $20 to $40 a square foot for land uh, doesn't make that big of a difference on the grand scheme of things when you're building a $200 million project, right?
Hmm.
But you can't make any money, so it's like you need to be able to find places where you can get that $1,000 a foot. But people are coming out at like 850, 950 in Newmarket and in Stouffville and like
Hmm.
Brant, like all over the place. Like I don't even know where prices are less than 850 right now.
Yeah. It's not just about
But they're not making
materials.
money though at 850. Like unless you had all of your contracts signed and those guys are honoring them and not going out of business, then maybe you can squeak out some money.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, listen, for most people it's a ton of money, but your profit percentage goes down to a point where it may not have been worth doing after 8 years, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like condo prices are just going to keep going up, 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 and up. They have to. And now we're talking about inclusionary zoning. There's this whole bill that they're talking about putting through, which basically is forcing the developers to add, somewhere between 10 to 30% of their units as affordable, right?
In certain zones.
Um, yeah, like in transit zones where
Hmm.
everybody wants to develop and everybody wants to live, right?
Yeah. The only places right now
The
that
only
can be
places that
profitable.
anybody gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, so what happens if you lose, I don't know how much, 10%, 20% of your profits on 20% of your units, or it's 25%, I think. So you lose 25% of revenue on 10 to 15 to 20, 30% of your units. And what happens to the price of the rest of the units to the end user? The
Hmm.
developer's not sitting there going, okay, fine, I'll suck it up. No, that's how we
Yeah.
have prices that are so friggin' high.
Yeah.
right? And they're not going down. They're never going down.
I tried to get some things from Home Depot this weekend and Lowe's, and like things are like sold out. Like there's just no anything.
Try
Like
buying
you
a
just can't
part
get
for a
anything.
computer. Try buying a
Yeah.
graphics card or like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Well,
It's just like
everything is crazy. And
it's not just price. It's not like they're sitting in the shelves and it's like, oh, I just got to pay a little bit more. It's like they don't even have it.
no, but this might be a thing that slows the market also is the fact that like you're going to pay a lot more for shit you actually need,
Yeah.
right? People are
Yeah.
going to have to put aside more money for the stuff they need, which means there's less money for either the stuff they don't need or other stuff they need if they can't let go of that other garbage, right?
Yeah.
That could actually have a significant impact because I mean they're saying 4% inflation, but I think we all know at least on stuff we use it's like way higher than that. And if that's probably going to be the same thing again this year, right? Because the whole
Yeah.
supply chain on everything is a disaster. My
I remember we wrote off 2020, I think around this time. I think around like June. We were like, all right, 2020, it's a wash. That's it. 2020, nothing's gonna happen this year. And now now 2021, same thing. It's like, all right, 2021, June, that's it. Let's call it a year. 2022, we'll pick it back up. We'll find some new cool things to do, and we'll try to go back to the way we were before. But I think it's just the environment that we're in, and we're going to have to really come up with new ways to be able to deal with all the stuff that we have to deal with. And there's going to be a lot of changes, like supply chain changes. What I read in Forbes had an article about the stay at home, the work from home stuff. That was a good one. Everything that we've been talking about, like the stay at home work is just not, it's not sustainable. It's not going to be what everyone thinks it's going to be. Okay. There's going to be long lasting effects. Guys are going to be working from home. They're going to feel like they're not a part of. They're going to be living in like remote locations like the Bahamas or some cheap place in, Winnipeg or whatever. And the guys who have to live in, let's say, Toronto, where the office is, have to pay sky high prices for their, properties, and it's going to be freezing in the winter and all that kind of stuff. So they're not going to really appreciate that kind of stuff, right? When the bosses and everything like that are coming into the office, the people who are constantly near them are the ones that are always going to be getting the attention and the raises and all that kind of stuff. Like there's and the bottom will just keep getting lower for those remote workers, right? They'll just keep trying to find people in less and less locations to drop the value, right? So sooner or later it'll be outsourced to, Mexico or whatever, because those people will be able to do the same job. Like it's 100% not sustainable. And there's a whole article about all the different inter-office policies and connections and human to human sort of um, protections for the company, right? Like the company needs to have certain reassurances that their employees are doing what they need to do. Then there's all the privacy stuff because now companies, I think it's like 80% of the companies with work from home have got monitoring software on their employees' computers, so they get to see like your web browser history and all sorts of stuff. They want to know what are you doing,
wow.
right? So imagine your invasion of privacy, for your company. How long is that going to last?
Yeah.
And what people are doing is they're at home, they're working on company time, looking for a new job on the computer.
For
Like,
sure.
if I'm going to be home, I might as well be looking for something better, and maybe one day something will come up, and I'm out of here. Like,
So
it's not
so but
sustainable.
I think work from home is going to look if it were to be graphed, it would look the same as the recovery. It would be a K shape. And I think that there's companies that are going to go towards more work from home and there's companies that will go towards less and there'll be a group in the middle that goes towards a hybrid. Because there's some companies that are working very well like this and there's some companies that just can't function like this. There's a lot of companies that already kind of were functioning like this on a global level where they had, multiple offices in multiple cities and people were working I guess
They had
online
management
together.
and all that kind of stuff.
But
I
it's going
just
to
I
go
just
all
don't see
different
it.
ways. I
You
think
you gave the politically correct answer, Daryl. Let's just
that doesn't seem right.
you did. You
When do
just
I
you
do
took
that?
the easy road of saying anything can happen, and
No,
we
it's
don't
not
know.
anything that can
But
happen. I see
I'm
it
going to be
all
hard on
happening.
this. Work from home is not going to work. That's it.
It
It's going down.
works.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to fly. It's not going to stay.
All right. Fine.
Only the entrepreneurs can do it because they're self motivated. People are not motivated enough to stay home
Right. It's hard to get
um,
that
and
that
do them to do the work they need to do for an employer. It
but
just doesn't work.
I think you're going to see more self-employed entrepreneurial people working with more self-employed entrepreneurial people in
That
smaller
will grow.
businesses. That's going to grow
Yes,
like crazy,
that's going to grow for
right?
sure.
So the corporate stuff, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's for other reasons, not even so much that it doesn't work, right? But I mean, we've all been employees. I mean, when there's an office,
Control.
it's hard enough to fucking get any work done because, you gotta take a crap for 3 hours and you need a smoke break and you need to go talk
Take up
to
smoking just to work in a, just in an
all
office,
these
just to be able to
fucking
get out of
assholes that are getting smoke
the
breaks and
desk.
I'm sitting here
Take up
working all
smoke in here.
day.
I'm not even going to smoke. I'm just going to light it.
Fucking A, I want the same breaks as those assholes,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna go
Yeah.
out there with my fake e-cigarette and take a
Yeah.
break. No, but I mean, the reality is that people are not that productive in an office. I can only imagine the hijinks that people were up to when they were supposed to be working. But I
Hmm.
mean, I think for me as a entrepreneur and someone who's employed many people, like I've always been okay with just get your work done. I don't care how often or when you work, just get it done and get it done when it's supposed to get done. I don't know how many people are like that, but I can imagine a world where that's a little more prevalent too.
Sure. But I think that the size of your enterprise is also pretty
Well,
vital,
that's the
right?
thing, yeah.
Google and Yahoo, was it Google and Yahoo? I think it was Google and Yahoo, but Yahoo and someone else tried work from home models. Like they really put in an effort and were like, no, this doesn't work. They were forced to try it now, obviously. So there was, different motivations, but like it's been put to the test before. And right now it's acceptable. And, we don't really have all the figures and, the businesses are doing really well. There's a lot of businesses doing well right now. So they don't have the motivation to start looking at what everybody's doing and to really break it down. Wait till the economy does change, which it always does. Eventually things will slow down and then people are going to go like, hold on a second, TK's working at home 8 hours a day. He says he's doing this much productivity, yet Juan down in Mexico, he's doing 3 times the productivity and we're paying him in pesos. Why is it that TK and Juan are producing different levels of work when they're assigned the exact same amount of stuff, right? And the company's going to go, well, we need more Juans and less TKs,
That's right.
right?
Hence,
And TK is going to say, no, 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 I'll come back to work. I'll come back to work so we can go over coffee at lunch, Jim, and then you and I will be buddies, and you won't want to let me go anymore. Now, I'm no longer working from home. Problem solved.
when was the last time you called a major corporation and spoke to somebody that you were positive was not in another country?
Remember,
And
usually it's American though.
this is not current. No, it's not
Yeah.
usually American. It's
Well, sometimes
usually
I can hear the American
Indian.
voices. A lot of Indian.
Lot of Indian.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of South American.
Hmm.
And that's not new,
Okay.
right? There's been lots of, whether it's working from home or working in another country, there's a big shakeup going to happen because wands are all over the place, right?
Hmm.
Wands are all over the place and easily accessible. And yes, you can't. I mean, I guess you can bring wand in to do some construction. We're not. We're not. I'm not trying to be racist or derogatory in any way, but like you can bring in workers. I mean, that's what the whole economy is based on. Has always been bringing in
But but
the
but
cheap labor.
let's talk about jobs then. So you're saying, well, how is this market going to tank? Well, over the next few years, as people get lazy and they say, oh no, I'm going to work from home because I don't have to pay for daycare and I don't have to, get car insurance and I can live further away so that I can go to the beach,
I'm
on the
noticing your
weekends and it's going to be
voice is
super
changing.
close,
Yeah, to
right? Because
somebody
well, that's what they sound like.
very soft and timid.
Yeah,
Yes.
soft and timid. And so when that market does come back, right, and the chickens come home to roost,
Ooh.
and that people understand that they need to actually be in the office because they need to be developing relationship with management and all that kind of stuff. How many job losses will go from Canadian soil into other markets and elsewhere in the world? Because we look at net jobs every year, like that's a big factor. And like, where's our job losses? Where's our job gains? And what industries are they in? Are we creating enough jobs in Canada right now to be able to um, absorb the amount of job losses we're going to have because of companies going work from home?
I think what we're creating are very um, technical jobs. Like they're not going to be jobs for just anybody. Like um, people that have been working as a Uber driver or as a grocery gateway shopper, or the easier entry jobs. It's going to be hard for them to transition into coding and editing and legal and like all the service stuff that's actually going to be capable to do from wherever the hell, right?
Okay. But if you're in school right now and you are doing those things, and that the job market shrinks because now the available positions are less, and the job rate goes down because the employers are looking at it, well, I can get you to code who just came out of the school with a certain certification, and I can see you in front of me every single day, through the glass in your office, or I hire Juan, right? Sorry to pick on Juan today, who's
Juan's
working
killing
for
it.
two thirds of your pay, right? And does honestly a twice as good a job because he's really, really happy and thankful that he has this job, right? So, as a young person going to school, most people, what they do is they look at the job market and they say, well, where am I going to be after I graduate? What are my prospects? And it's going to me be less intriguing, right, with more people working overseas and stuff like that too. And I think that has to change, and that there's going to be a major shift over the next couple of years back into the office. And I'm calling it now. I just want to make sure it's being recorded
I,
and that
I,
people know it was me who said it.
well, and I would like to add that
They heard it
I
here first.
believe
Mhm.
that um, if you don't learn a skill or you don't learn a trade that is mobile and internet friendly, then you are doing yourself a huge disservice for your future potential opportunities for your career. Because even if you're in Canada, I mean, you can work somewhere else. They pay programmers way more in the States than they do in Canada, and the talent is fairly similar, right? So what you see happening is like high level tech people are moving from, you know, other countries to Canada where it's better than where they were, and they're getting like their experience, and then they're starting to work for companies that pay even more to people in the States or wherever. It's like a barrier to entry for a higher paying gig. But there's going to be more companies that are fine with people working from home, right? Tons of them. And so if you can, like, let's say for example you're a driver right now. You just became a driver for Amazon, and you think it's like, this is a golden opportunity here. I rented this truck. I'm driving for Amazon. I can't keep up. I got money coming in every day, all day. In like 4 years, that guy's gonna need a new job because it'll be a autonomous truck driving all those packages around.
So there's a truck that's going to drive around my neighborhood, get out of the truck. A robot's going to bring the package to my door, ring the doorbell, and then run away.
Yeah, is that a question, or are you
Yeah, is that
adding
what's
on to
going to
my
happen?
statement? That's happening
How many places is that going to be happening in 4 years?
in 4 years.
Yeah.
19.
I get it. I get what you're saying. What's happening right now? What is the Amazon delivery, the autonomous delivery Amazon people doing right now? How does that work?
There's multiple. There's like these little robots that drive down the sidewalk with your parcel, come up to like
Yeah.
your porch, and you grab it. Your package is now arriving, and you go outside and you take it out of the little robot, and you pet him, and he goes back on his merry way.
Yeah.
Or there are drones that are flying packages to people right now.
I know there is, but it's not gonna
And
be all these drones just zipping around, Etobicoke trying to drop off packages every day.
TK,
It's limited. It's
TK.
limited. Yeah.
Well, this is the
What
Toronto
about
Real Estate
condos?
Show. Yeah. What about condos? You're going to have drones cleaning windows on condos soon.
That makes sense.
Oh, it does it? But the package thing doesn't?
The package thing, I think it's like,
You're very selective in what you incorporate into your reality.
yeah, I'm old school.
You're
I have a hard time changing.
Jesus, man.
You're right though.
You're gonna be
I
like
think
my
the robots
grandfather, like looking around, going, "What the hell happened?"
I think the robots will be delivering all the packages. I think that's a pretty simple task to give to the robots. If we think that they can start building condos for us, they can deliver some
Well,
packages.
so but what about just like freight trucks driving on the highways?
Yeah,
Those
that
are
makes sense
gone
to me.
even sooner. That's
Yeah.
one of the biggest industries on the planet.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Well, those
Electric, autonomous truck driving.
it's coming, baby. It's coming on
The only
multiple
thing that makes
levels.
sense. Yeah.
Multiple levels. And so soon, like all these people people will have jobs. There'll be jobs created. You're just gonna have to like it won't be labor. It won't be easy. You're gonna have to like learn how to code or you're gonna have to learn how to sell something.
Yeah.
Or
Cut
bullshit
grass.
your way. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, there's autonomous.
There's robots to do that too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There,
Lay
th-
sod. You got a lay sod.
there's even robots that will laser zap your weeds out of your lawn
Oh my
now.
God.
Yeah, you have no idea what's going on. Soon,
I need to catch up on
you're
the
gonna order.
robotics club here.
You're gonna go to a robot and say double double, please,
Yeah.
through the drive-through. A robotic arm will just. Thank you, Mr. TK. This is Juan, remote working from Mexico.
Juan is taking over. Juan is going to be the
You
most
said
employed
we
guy
needed more wands.
around,
Here you go.
right?
More
Juan
wands
is,
for everyone.
yeah,
Okay, let's talk
Juan is
about
going to take over.
real estate again. Foreign investors are scooping up new condos. Nah. Oh, did you see this? Did you see the billboard that the
I don't see anything.
can't
You
afford a
said,
home? No, I'm not putting it up. It's too hard. This has to
okay,
be easier. This
okay.
has become a career. This thing here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can't afford a home? Question mark.
Yeah.
Have you
The red billboard.
have you tried finding richer parents?
Yeah, I saw that
And then
one.
they made a website, CanadaHousingCrisis.com.
Yeah.
But then you
Seriously.
also see an article that says like 64% of all millennials like wish they didn't buy the house that they bought.
That's a stupid article. That makes no sense.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Are you a millennial? You're a millennial.
I think I'm a millennial. I think what they're talking about is the millennials just wanted more space and they couldn't afford it. So that's why they were like, yeah, I wanted to get a
Yeah.
2,000 square foot condo
I
on
thought
Bloor
this
Street, but
425 square foot condo was a good idea. I mean, it looked good on
yeah,
the piece of paper.
yeah. So no, I wouldn't think too hard about that.
Maybe it's more than 64%. What else is
I think
there?
it's all
Ooh, this is a good one. Did you send me this? Remax sues competitor EXP Realty over efforts to lure away franchisees.
Let's try to talk about this in the most non-biased way possible. Okay.
Because you
Full
work for
disclosure, I'm a
Remax?
member of the Remax family,
Well,
right?
I'm not.
Okay.
I,
So
I almost was, but that's
any
another
new
story.
brokerage, and again, let's not pick on EXP. Any new brokerage, the model that a brokerage has is to recruit agents. They want to get more agents because it means more money for them. The more agents, the more signs they're going to have, the more brand recognition they're going to have, the more agents are going to want to join. Brokerages, their clients are agents, just like how buyers and sellers are clients for agents. Brokerages are going out there to solicit business from agents. So they do all the things they can to show their value, to be able to hire them, to try to get them, because the more agents they have, they get to collect fees and commission splits and all that kind of
Sure.
stuff. And that's their business model, right?
Yeah.
And so anytime a brokerage is trying to get more agents, there isn't a like if I can't go around to other people with a listing contract or a buyer representation agreement and try to solicit business from those buyers and sellers when they're under contract. But in the brokerage world, that's really not looked at. Even though if you have a contract, I mean, you have a contract. I don't know what your contract says, but technically, you're probably not supposed to be going around being solicited by brokerages. And brokerages are always calling me and always calling other agents trying to get more people. What high level franchise companies can do is they can solicit entire brokerages. So they can go to Remax ABC and say, hey, you got 1,000 agents. Why don't you change your brand to this? And this is now, going to be your brand, and this is how you're going to benefit, and blah, 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 blah. So that becomes like, instead of talking to 1,000 agents, you just have to talk to one owner of a brokerage with 1,000 agents under him.
Sure.
So the issue with this company that has been going around stealing Remax franchises and telling them that, you know, they're better and bigger and whatever, is these people have contracts. And of course, Remax and Denver, Colorado is saying, whoa, 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 you know, you signed a contract with us, a franchise agreement. You can't just go and slap, you know, Johnny's Burgers on your McDonald's because you felt like the brand, you know, the brand wasn't good for you anymore. You're in a franchise agreement, right? So
So, but
it
it's
makes
not
no sense.
it's not EXP that can get in trouble. It's the Remax
The
brokerages.
well, I mean,
EXP's not
I
under
guess I
contract to
guess
not.
they're suing the franchisees by saying, "Hey, you broke your contract," but they're also saying like, "How can we try to stop EXP from doing this?" And so that they're suing them as well to figure out a way to um, maybe try to get them to stop poaching. But you're right, maybe they're allowed to poach them. Maybe that's totally 100% legit, and there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know,
They're allowed to
but
approach them. What they do after is entirely up to them, right? The problem is within Remax. If people are actually leaving Remax for this MLM, there's bigger problems within Remax,
true,
right?
I agree.
So
Yep. Yeah, if
Remax is probably
McDonald's isn't
our.
serving, yeah, if McDonald's isn't serving you any business, if that those golden arches are not bringing in customers for you, and you figure to take down the golden arches and put big red bricks and call it TK's Burgers is going to be a better business model. Yeah, it's not the attractiveness of the bricks, it's the ineffectiveness of the arches, and you
And
need to figure out
But
what.
McDonald's doesn't sue Johnny Burgers; they sue the franchisee.
But if it happens over and over again, I'm sure they would.
They would, but they would
Yeah.
probably not win. They would just sue them to try and freak them
I don't
out.
know. I mean, I don't know what, like, I'm not a lawyer, right? So I don't know what you're allowed to do or not to do. I mean, are you allowed to go around telling people, don't worry, break your contract, everything's going to be fine? Or is there
I,
eventually a line?
you don't know this about me, but
Okay.
I am
You
a
got a legal
lawyer.
degree.
That's right.
You picked that up. You picked that up along with many other
It's
skills that you
behind
have.
me on the wall. Just you can't see my real wall. So
The damn virtual background.
it's
Yeah.
the virtual background that's the problem. But
Okay.
I may not have a legal degree, but I've
Let's hear it.
certainly been around the law plenty on
Okay.
multiple levels.
Okay.
Mainly contracts, though, for
Yep.
those of you that are thinking otherwise.
He
But
was a hippie.
as far as I've done many things in my day, as far as contracts are concerned, though, well, one, I mean they're just paper, unless what somebody has to enforce it, right?
Okay.
So if okay, let's just run through this. So okay, you have a contract with Remax, right? You're gonna work for Remax. You're gonna be a brokerage for the next 3 years, and we have a
Okay.
deal. This is our deal. This is when it starts. This is when it ends. We both signed it. We're both happy. EXP
Mhm.
comes in and says, "Hey TK, you're gonna make so much more money like this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have these big rallies, and Tony Robbins is gonna be there, and you're gonna love it, right?
We're going to fly to
And we're going to
Mexico
fly
3
to
times a year,
Mexico, and
and
it's going
everyone's
to
going to have
be
a great time.
great. And somehow we're going to spend all this money, and we're all going to make more money, and it's going to be great. And trust me, this is legit." And you go,
Yeah.
"You know what? I know I shouldn't even be talking to you.
You're here.
I know I shouldn't be talking to you because I'm
Yeah.
under contract with Remax right now. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. Fuck Remax. They've been fucking me for years. Fuck those guys in the right." And so what happens? Who does Remax have? Remax does not have a contract with EXP saying, "Hey, you know, we've agreed that we're not going to poach people from each other," right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only legal recourse that you can sue anybody. TK, I'll fucking sue you this afternoon, okay, for looking at me funny, and I can do it. And you'll have to defend yourself that you didn't look at me funny.
I didn't. I looked at you just
I
normal.
don't know. I don't feel so good anymore.
It's just like a normal look. It was
Right?
just like, what's going on over there? Look.
I'm sick of this shit, man.
Yeah.
And I could sue you, and it doesn't mean anything. The fact that I can sue you, right? So Remax can go throw their weight around and do whatever the hell they want. But you know what they're doing? They're just like pointing out that they have internal issues to everybody, that people are even considering this stupid MLM over like one of the biggest companies on the biggest real estate.
It's one of the top 10 recognized brands in the world, like
so how
with
can
Coca-Cola and McDonald's.
Right. And so how can it not be a super fat cat that has all kinds of extra redundancies within it that are just ridiculous and pissing off brokers left, right, and center. How
Mhm.
can there not be teams of people going, you know what? I'm so fucking sick of Remax. I wish there was a better option. And then
Okay.
here comes EXP with their delusional sales pitch, and probably similar to like Exit Realty and some other ones that have like boomed onto the scene and made a big splash, and then kind of, I don't know, what was the last time?
Found their place in the market. I mean,
I guess they found
they're
their place in the
they're gonna
market.
find their place in the market. Yeah,
They found it.
which is okay. I mean, at the end of the day, like none of this stuff really affects me.
I would go steal Remax agents. Like, it's fucking smart.
Right?
I think it's brilliant. And yeah,
Yeah. Why?
absolutely. Go
And they figured
right.
it out. They're like, why are we pitching individual agents? Let's start pitching the brokers. Let's get
Yeah.
them to switch their whole offices over. Right? I've
It's,
seen it happen a few times here in Toronto. A few times. What I usually see is the brokerage sell, and then they become the new brand because they've sold to somebody else. Right? That's usually what happens.
well, and
But
I guess a lot of times guys within brokerages get super big and decide that maybe they should take another little slice of the pie and become the brokerage.
yeah, that too. Yeah.
Like at some point,
Mostly
Remax doesn't.
what I've seen though is guys start their own. So they get, they get big and then they go and they start their own brokerage.
Well, I'll tell you, like, I know Frank Leo for years from marketing. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure I met him personally at some point in my life, but I definitely like feel like I know of him. And I
Yeah.
swear to God, I have no idea. Other than the fact that you and I are friends, I have no idea that he's with Remax. Like, his branding has superseded the Remax branding. Now, what benefits Remax brings to him, I have no idea. But if I was out in the marketplace, I would flock to Frank Leo and have no concern whether he's with Remax, EXP, or Exit Realty,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like, there's nothing Remax about his branding. It's like,
that's a unique
it's not. It's not.
situation.
Most of the good brokers have branded themselves completely separate from their brokerage.
Not bigger than their brokerage.
I don't know. Like, look at Barry Cohen. You know Barry Cohen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows
The
who?
Remax guy.
He's a Remax guy, but most you only know that because you're a Remax guy. The
Yeah.
layman doesn't have a clue because it's like all Barry Cohen everything, right?
Mhm.
Same thing with his brother Randy Cohen, and same thing with like half of the agents out there. You know them. They've built brand. David Batory, have you heard of that guy? Just great
Yeah.
branding guys, right? I think.
So
I don't know who David
I
Batory's with. He's probably with Remax too.
so I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. So and the brokerage level, and like it's we're wrapping up the show here. At the brokerage level, what I've always felt
Ooh.
is the individual agent is the most important part of the client's relationship. And at the end of the day, if somebody's happy with EXP or they're happy with Remax and they're happy with Royal LePage or they're happy with Century 21 or Home Life, good for you. Stay with them, enjoy their services, their training, their brand, the logo, whatever it is that you use to help your clients. I think that's fantastic. And I really don't push Remax as much as maybe I could or should. I just push what I can do. So thanks for having me today, Darryl.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't
um,
know. I don't know how to respond to that.
yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to summarize
It
it.
was
I think
very
everybody's pretty
politically
cool.
correct, though.
Yeah, it's okay.
While we're throwing stones,
I'm pretty neutral on this stuff. I'm not really that.
you're very neutral.
I'm very neutral.
You're very neutral. It's very safe.
Yeah, I'm very safe. The
When
market is going to go up in the long term.
ooh,
Eventually, the market will go down. That is the go-to answer for. There's two camps. Oh yeah, market's going up. Oh, immigration, supply and demand. Oh, we don't have enough houses. Population's going. Market's always going to go up. And then there's the man. Have you seen what's going on out there right now? The stock market,
it's
bond
gonna be
market,
epic.
the yields.
Epic.
They're peaking. They're peaking. Things are going to go down. Things are going to go down.
It's gonna be
Both guys are
blood.
right. Both guys are right. As long as you just keep saying the same thing over and over, eventually someone will go to you and like, TK, you were right. What you said, I can't believe it. You know what you're
Even
talking
a
about.
broken clock is right twice a day.